Ladies and gentlemen, we are here live at Texpo DigiMarCon Phoenix, Arizona, and I have with me a very special guest, Clint Rar, just like a line. That's how we can remember him. And he's here to talk about his business, Silicon Mountain, and how that name came to be, and a little bit of what it's like here being on the floor in Texpo. And he has a really interesting backstory, a very high in electronics and MySQL, Oracle, all these things. So I think you have a very diverse background, and very interesting guy to talk to. It was interesting to hear some of the test case uses that your company is working on right now. So if you want to dive in a little bit about yourself and how you got started.
Sure. So I started back at Micron Technology about 20 years ago. I got involved in the manufacturing side of things and really wanted to grow more into the sales and understanding the business side. So going through my bachelor's program, working really on sales and marketing, it was where my focus was. Then I started understanding that I needed to get more involved in how to build the tools to help me. So I started getting involved with companies like Oracle. So I worked for Oracle for a little while, specifically MySQL, so I could learn how to do it for free. I'm not a tech guy, but I understand how it works, right? And so that was really important for me, as I could dummy it down to the point where I know how a stack works. I'm not going to be able to log into Python and do anything in it, right? That's just kind of how the game goes. So I really enjoyed that portion of it. And then I got involved with MySQL. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't have money. So they want to use open source things. And so I started getting a lot of energy from talking to a lot of these guys who were just building their business and trying to understand how to do their databases and understanding what their hardware was. So then I got involved in Silicon Mountain, where Chris Townsend is the owner. We're up in Idaho. And we started about 22 years ago. Chris did. I knew him from when he was a project manager or a operations manager at a different company. So he started Silicon Mountain and started growing it just with placing DRAM and things like that. And so over the years, I got more involved with him. And then we got to the point where I was once again dealing with the customers, understanding what they're trying to build. And then Chris was the one that was deciding what machinery we needed to put together to make it happen. So a lot of real fun stuff led me to this point. I'm really enjoying it. And now we're trying to branch down to Utah a little bit with businesses. And we have some business down in Colorado. And now we're trying to go to Arizona, maybe do Texas, open another branch over here.
I have to say, what I loved about their booth was they had the most cool looking booth. You guys had all these circuit boards out, and you built like a little display wall, and it was really exciting to see that and see the things you're doing. Thanks. And it takes me back to the days of when Radio Shack was a thing before they went bust, where they had the little electronic kits you could buy and that sort of thing. And we were talking a little bit about some like use cases where people might go to you to buy like specifics electronics manufacturing. So can you get into that? And you were mentioning some like really interesting products, including that produce machine and some other stuff.
Yeah. So we have companies that we help develop. So we don't really look for a revenue stream today. What we look for is a partnership to grow. So if an entrepreneur comes to us and says, I have this idea, one that I just currently got done working on, there's a technology called EMDR, or it's a where you go to your counselor and they can contribute that technology to, like, if you have PTSD, right? And so there's a vibration, there's a stimulation that goes to your neurons, and that really helps relieve your stress, right? So they had a guy come in, he's a counselor. He says, hey, I got this idea. I got 2 rocks. I need them to vibrate, right? So how do I do that? So I said, well, the first thing we got to do is we got to get you to an electrical engineer, and he'll decide how to make them vibrate, right? How you want to do that. Then we got to get your hardware engineer. He'll tell you how to put it into the package. Once you have those 2 items, you bring them back to us, and then we can go ahead and assemble them for you, give them back to you for an end product, right? So those are fun things that I get to see on ground level, just right there in the weeds with it. And then there's other products that we sell hundreds of thousands per month, which is what you were referring to with a data logger. And let's say it's just one simple circuit board, and you have produce that's down in Arizona, and it's got to come to Idaho. So you want to know the temperature, the humidity, how long it's been on the truck, who's actually been messing with it, right? And so as that gets up to the receiving clerk, it's got an RF frequency that will upload the data into his database to tell him which pallets he needs to get offloaded first, so they can quickly turn those trucks around. Because as we remember from the 2021, 2022, the thing that we were missing were truck drivers, because everything was piling up. All the supply chain was getting messed up there. So they got really efficient in doing this. And so that's one of our ways that we've helped grow businesses to not just hundreds of thousands of dollars, but millions of dollars, or just help them develop a product that they run 500 of, right? And then maybe it doesn't go very far, but it's their dream, and we help them achieve it. So
those are all really good examples, and very I love hearing these stories, because at this space, one of the things that I'm personally passionate about too is connecting entrepreneurs. And I love it when some upstart has this great idea and he's able to launch a company, and then now we've got new products that nobody would have ever dreamed of before, because someone had that idea and they stuck it out and they met the right people. Can you say some advantages why someone would want to work with Silicon Mountain, as opposed to maybe some of the other alternatives out there? And what you guys do in contrast to like I guess a lot of what happened post COVID with the supply chain disruptions and everything.
Yeah. So Silicon Mountain, the reason that people like to work with us is because we are a family-owned business. So we are able to take on businesses that are small, that are startups, but actually scale them to grow. And that's really what sets us aside from the competition. If you look at people who are very large customer or very large contract manufacturers, there's a Plexus, there's Foxconn, there's Celestica, there's a number of different ones that are large, and you can't get in the door unless you have millions of dollars, and you have $1 million behind that. Right. And so if you're trying to get this startup stuff, there's only so many places you can go, and they can only take you so far. So maybe you have a mom and pop shop that can build your prototype. And then let's say somebody orders 1,000 of them. The guy says, I can't build 1,000 of those. I build 10 of them per week. Right. How are you going to scale that? Now you're going to take it to another shop. And this other shop's going to say, I'm going to charge you for this. I'm going to charge you for that. Silicon Mountain, you take us your beginning prototype. We'll build it. We have the stuff to work with you, your engineers, to make it for design for manufacturing, so we can make it cheaper as we scale it with you. So that's really what sets us apart from the competition. We really focus on that design for manufacturing.
That's really important too. When you think about any entrepreneur, they want to have scalability, and they don't want to get locked out of their own process and their own product. I think of some of the cases in the past where someone somehow lost IP rights because of manufacturing issues or some other crazy things like that. So it's another good reason why we want to work with family, owned businesses like you. Is there any other maybe companies you can mention that you've worked with in the past, or other people out there that we can point to and say, oh yeah, look at their process and how they've worked with Silicon Mountain?
Sure. There is a company that's up and coming right now that I'll give a shout out to, and that's Black Rack. And what they are doing is supporting law enforcement and first responders. If you have a gun that's going to go in the police cruiser or in the SWAT team or somewhere where there's a gun available, this will lock down the gun so that no one can pull it out unless you have a frequency that's going to open up the container for that. So it's a very new technology to make sure that when the police are getting out of the car, no one's going to sneak in the other side of the door and take the gun out of there. So they're getting in that, really building that business up. And so we've helped them with their circuit boards, because obviously if you think about how a circuit board works, it's going to have a circuit board in the product, and it's going to have a circuit board on the police officer to where it will open up that without him having to touch anything. So it's a really great technology, and they're doing well.
That's fantastic. So it's just amazing to see this, because a lot of people, I like science fiction a lot. I like writing science fiction, but it's one thing to like have an idea and then do it in a story, and then to see someone else take an idea and actually be able to make it happen in this day and era. And that's exactly what you guys are doing, Silicon Mountain. So on that note, I guess I'd say if you could talk a little bit about some of your positive experiences here at Texpo and DigiMarCon, and why it's important for people to come to these conferences in person and to go to your booths and booths like yours where they're interacting in an on-person basis.
Sure. So there's a lot of marketing people here, and the marketing that they're looking for is understanding how to go to the broader market. And so the companies here that are doing vending are the ones that you're going to need to utilize in order to get to a broader market. So my company does the hardware. There were credit blocking places or credit checking places here. There were different items with SG&A, to where when you have that question of how do I scale, there's a lot of vendors here that could do it. I enjoyed the speakers. There was a lot of discussion about the AI that I thought I was ahead of the scale, and I found out I haven't even started the race. These guys are way far ahead of me. So there's a lot of very good information that was presented. There was just a really, really good atmosphere. It seemed like a lot of high energy. It was a good event overall. I think we definitely will come back and try again.
All right, fantastic. And we'd love to have you back again. So definitely go check out their booth, look them up online. If you could give people, I guess, your website and where it would be best to find more information if they want to look you up.
Sure. Yeah. Be great. So siliconmountain.net, that's SILICON.net. We're located up in Idaho, and we're happy to quote any types of business that you guys have coming your way.
And they're very polite and personable. He's a great guy. He's very knowledgeable. So you definitely want to connect with them. So it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. And it was really cool seeing your booth. So thanks so much for being a part of Texpo and DigiMarCon.